analysis, they came from the north. Even here, they came from the north as well. And they're the ones who's gunning down those rushing into the final circle together with Borem United. Because Borem United, we saw them head into the southern side of that final circle, and others are just scrambling, and they managed to grab a lot of points from there. But as we take a look at Team Falcons, I'm pretty sure the happiness cannot be contained right now by this team grabbing a back-to-back Booyah, and I'm pretty sure as well that they're planning to do more.
Yeah, and for Team Falcons, right, when we kind of saw them in that final stage of Kalahari, we sort of had an idea that they're probably going to win that round, right? Great position, uncontested, and then they have sort of your current meta loadout. You put limit on the Skylar, you let On Fire take center point, you let Pina do what he wants. It is a full package of what makes a meta great team.
I love the balance that we saw on the skills right now. And for Limited 7, I think he is back on his usual ways of taking down everyone from afar. And this is what we've seen so much. The moment that Limited 7 has been acquired by Team Falcons, he just rose to the top. Being a sniper, he managed to get a lot of elimination in most instances. But let's see if this the MVP of the team right now on what he has brought in, other than the numbers that we saw. 7 elimination, 29, 41 on damage, as well as the 5 assists. We've seen that Skylar so many times being used by this guy, and he's the one who's breaking down all those glue walls in spite of the fortification of that glue wall. But the VSK 94, I mean, we see this very seldom, but I'm loving that early game to be able to take down your opponent from far with a loot ground like the VSK.
And with the circle analysis coming up, I think it also gives us a very good idea and how this game actually led us to that final moment of Team Falcons, right? Because game 1, we saw a lot of teams read the circle, make a hard read very early on, and rotate accordingly. This Kalahari map sort of felt like the same, right? A lot of early skirmishes left, right, and center, and then you see that pivot. When Refinery and Command Post were in the circle, the teams just pivot straight to Command Post. They get the read right, and then the circle was like, we're going to move out of Command Post, and the only team on the north end was Team Falcons. They were having a buffet. They were feasting on everyone, trying to evacuate Command Post, and that's how Falcons got the Booyah in the very end.
Yeah, well, still on Circle 5, there's a lot of teams that is alive and like trying to survive at that point. But it just so happens that the compound that it's only one-sided, more onto the south, and we saw the scramble. Even RRQ couldn't get away. That could have been a clutch in there. Even Maal jumped in, but the position in the tower was just very difficult for them to deal with, and GOW just managed to pick the 2 players that were knocked down, and that's the moment wherein RRQ says goodbye. But for Team Falcons, position-wise, anticipation on where everyone will be going is their forte from what we've seen in the first 2 maps in this day.
Yeah, it has been a treat for sure seeing how these teams approach the knockout stage, because I feel like we have shifted from let's all play safe and avoid casualties to let's just get it rolling, right? We make the read, we make the right choice, and we let that decide kind of the direction of things. And when all these teams are making the reads right, then it boils down to the mechanics. But the standings so far after that game 2 puts Team Solid and BRU in the exact same spot, with the only difference being Team Solid having an extra Booyah compared to BRU.
Yeah, looking at Team Falcons, they moved up already. I mean, number of points, we were questioning if they are still the Team Falcons that we know of, especially with that dual champion from Southeast Asia. Seems like they are back in the horse, but you did mention that there's a threshold that the teams are aiming for, and it seems like for Team Solid and Borem United Esports, with the number of elimination that they have as well as the survivability, they're getting close to that threshold just to make sure that they can secure their spot for the grand finals, which is good for them, but not for the others who are still struggling to make it work.
Yep. And if we take the baseline of what we saw earlier on when we were discussing about EVO's Divine, the cutoff was, the benchmark is around 245 points. EVO's Divine are very, very far away from that. But then if you take that benchmark and you kind of pose it, put it on the first page teams. Team Solid, BRU, AG have basically passed that threshold, and a couple more teams are getting close to it. So it's getting more and more evident that some of these teams have technically or theoretically secured the spots in the top 12, whereas for the rest, including EVO's Divide themselves, they have a long way to go. And EVO's on your screen, they need at least 139 points, 140 around that to hit that threshold. It is going to be tough. But with this, say 75 points on average, 4 rounds to do so, it is very, very possible.
Yeah, let's see though if that they will be able to hustle a little bit early, because I mean, despite of the anticipation as well as the comeback storyline is concerned, that is good. But from what I'm seeing, hopefully that is the script that they're following, because it seems like they were faltering so many times, especially in Solara. I mean, imagine being taken down early, and even in Kalahari, wherein the snipers could have been their saving grace, but they're the ones going down quite quickly. So let's see as we look into our game schedule right now, and we are expecting to see another match that might be taken over by those already on the top. It is Nextera, and talking about compound, I mean, we switch from Solara with plenty of areas to hide out from into Kalahari, where it's not so much. Nextera is peppered with all those compounds.
Yeah. And it seems like today's map rotation not only puts teams to the test by starting them off on unfamiliar territory, kind of have that tempo setter, but we are also throwing them for a ride. Here's a lot of compound. Whoop! There's no compound. Oh wait, you suffer enough. We'll give you back some urban warfare, and it's going to be the case for the remainder of the day, right? Alpine coming up, we're gonna take that compound away, and then we make sure that Bermuda gives you a fair share, and then we take it away again on Purgatory. It's gonna be a lot of that push and pulls, and it really pushes these teams to adapt every single round.
Yeah, well, I want to see more of those adaptation coming from the teams. And, well, as we look into hotshots right now, there were some potential of survivability, especially them trying to go into the edge of the circle, but they was just out and open. But unfortunately, they really couldn't get that much. And I bet we're going to see a little bit of insight as well on what Falcons has done already and what they need to do be able to entirely secure all those the chances to getting into the grand finals. With a back-to-back Booyah, they now sit at 230 points. So they need roughly 15 plus points to reach that threshold at 245. That will keep moving up, I believe, because the teams are already like slowly ranking up into the numbers. So those who will be following us on tomorrow's game might have some trouble if they don't get that threshold back into play.
Yeah, and I think for Team Falcons, when you have reached, when you are so close to getting to the threshold, you can sort of say that they are already safe. Unless the final 4 rounds goes absolutely terrible, which I don't think is going to be the case. Team Solid is still in good spirit. Sure, they had a very close round 1. Round 2 was map 2 was slightly rocky, thanks to all the the party that involved 5 other teams in the same compound. But I think even for Club Vision, right, they have sort of a good understanding of what to do coming into Nextera. There are certain playstyles that have worked. I think their theories make a lot of sense. They were avoiding BRU in Kalahari. They were buying a lot of time, but also they were contributing to the downfall of teams like PE Sports, who only have 2 points so far.
Hell, let's see though if that's something that can be turned around by some of the teams that really need it. And in a bit, we're going to see the game as well happening, but preparation is being done. Nextera, when we look into this game, but before we go there, this is what... Sorry, couldn't help it. But RRQ would have been helping EVO's Divine, but all they gave them is a high five. And it seems like EVO's Divine is drowning right now.
You know what they say, we might be from the same region, but if there's only one trophy that can be lifted, someone's gotta go. Something's gotta give. And unfortunately for EVOs, they are the ones that has been struggling so far. And RRQ, they have been coveting for this for a long time too, right? When we saw RQ finally get their first win, the first trophy lift at the start of the preseason, and some people might say, oh, it's just the preseason, and then we head into spring, not really, not really close to the win. EWC was the same thing, fall season was the same thing. So right now, if they are on the rise again, I bet the RQ fans are gonna be praying hard that high five on the EVOS is gonna be worth the win.
Well, hopefully you'll be at least one finger to save them, not just a high five. We're going into the next map. Next era is on, and once again, we're going to see if there'll be any hot drops that will be happening in the early games. Otherwise, it would be a slow run in the beginning of this match. So far, the contention is so heated. When we go into the first to second phase into the circle, a lot of teams are meeting up each other, especially on that south side. But I don't think the players are hearing us. Hopefully their analysts, their coaches are hearing us and try to get away from that south side, spread away, find a good rotation to be able to survive longer and to move up in the ranks. As we look into the fight right now, it's quite fair, and I don't seem to see any hot drops happening right now.
And in fact, right, based on some drops on Nextera, you can kind of get a good guess of what the teams want to do or what the direction is, right? Intellect Center takes usually goes to teams that want to play slow and want to be left alone on an island. Sort of like when you're in Purgatory, you decide to take Fire Brigade, you know, you decided to take the southern side of the map. You just want to make sure that if a hot drop happens, it's going to be an isolated case, right? It's intentional because no one really drops in these kind of compound. So Clear Vision, at least, is it Nova Legion, I believe, who went to the Intellect Center, is going to have a more safer start.
Let's see. And speaking of safer start, it's not safe for Redcliffe right now, as two of their players has been knocked down and eliminated by Evo's Divine. So I guess this is what they've been waiting for. And Demon, well, with a Devil's Grace, he managed to survive, but Aim God says no. Turn that corner, not giving him a chance for a full revive. And it seems like it is GOW paying for what they've done earlier against RRQ, and Evo's Divine are the ones giving that high five, saying that we got you, bro. We can take them down.
For now. Evo's got to remember, he's the competition. But it's a good start. You know, GOW, they are also kind of in the race to get to a safe spot. But compared to EVOS, clearly the Indonesians would more desperate in getting those points. Yeah. We're seeing the revives come through. I mean, for EVOS that are going to try and push it at least. Bison in Coach Yu's hands. And you see the plushie being thrown out. Cryo Mine and Dian is going to get hunted down. Coach Yu getting taken for a ride, but with the backup of Rasha, EVOS will back their 4th point of the round. Maybe even find a 5th, as Liku from Redcliffe has been spotted by Aim God.
A quadra takedown coming from Evo's Divine, and Liku would be that penta. Let's see if he'll be able to get away, but on the other hand, Hans will be taken out by Team Solid. And as we see it, Redcliffe will be taken out despite of how much effort they have done in surviving. They couldn't survive long in Nextera, but there's still plenty of games that will be happening for the team for the rest of the day. Overall, a damage leader right now is Jonah with 3,872 on the total damage, but also we saw a feature that for today, one of the players from Red Hawks is the damage king. So I'm loving this version of Red Hawks right now.
Yeah, they tore up their local region, right? Really, show no mercy, and that's why we have seen them multiple times competing at the highest of levels. Now it's to push beyond that boundary, which is the toughest challenge when you're up against titans like these. But still, Red Hawks giving us the best possible fight that they can. Nova Legion and Clear Vision are about to bump into each other. In fact, Clear Vision just went for a revive, so they are in a slightly more precarious position in terms of resources. And Floki will open up onto Zach. Flicker from Red Hawks actually finds the knockdown instead. Cluso almost going down, eventually goes down. Red Hawks, we just talked about them being able to put up a very good show, and they are indeed showing that Valiant Dash getting used and could outmaneuver.
Let's see though, Lao Ho being taken down. PE Sports at a loss once again. 2 players already out. Nero, Nolan on the other side, and they got hit. They got tagged, but I am Moko, and I don't think they will be able to survive that long. Nolan will be on his heels, and it's a good thing that Nero managed to bring back LBT as well as Lao Ho before that happened. Evos now is on a chase. 9 elimination, even before hitting our first 5 minutes of the game. I guess they are here to really come back.
Yeah, given that Winchester, as Nero is going to be victim number 10. There it is, right in the skull. Kochu once more makes it happen. 10 eliminations, 5 of them under the belt of Kochu. And Evos have reignited that chance.
Let's see though if this is something that we can continue to witness from Evo's Divine. 10 elimination already, and there's more to come because we still have 11 teams surviving at this point. For RQ though, they are being silent. Hit list is on them, and we still don't know coming from who. But oh no, they're the ones who triggered the hit list against Russia. So this is, I guess that meme was very timely. It seems like RRQ are the ones who will be hunting Evo's Divine, but Lao Ho sitting in a corner like a duck, and he would be taken out. Now, Cluzo right now had no clue on how to get away against Bordeaux United, and there goes a 3rd elimination for the Thai Giant.
We are warming up slightly slower this round, but again, it's Nextera. So if you're out there looking for a fight, it's pretty hard to find it. Speaking of looking for a fight, Evo's still going. Ray, this time, finding actions. I believe that's the 11th elimination for Evos. It's right past the 6-minute mark. Hotshot now is going to be next on the chopping block as Evos giving us a bit of a taste of what desperation can turn into. And in this case, it's power. Dinoculus with a 5-man ping.
Oh, 5-man. So we have Hotshots right now. Shots onto Hasu. They might be beat by Clear Vision right now. Cryo Mine, and I think Aim God managed to take it out, but the deed has been done. They have spotted already. Well, let's see if they'll be able to get in and probably rush against Evo's Divine, adding more to potential points that will be taken. FGL onto Hasu, and a shot from Russia from afar. A follow-up by Ray with a Winchester, and that is a definite win for Evo's Divine once again.
12 points and counting. They've already gotten the equivalent of a booyah. And we haven't even gotten to the late game stage yet. This is mid-game territory. Nero trying to navigate his exigent circumstances with Lopez looking for him. And Lopez sees him. Lao Ho with double revolver takes up also in the back line. So Nova Legion, not really out of the woods just yet. PE Sports continues to resist.
Yeah, I mean, they are fighting back right now, and well, let's see. With that, Loki has been pushed out. Now, Nero right now, I guess it's anticipation that there will be a vending machine that they will be taken at this point, and Nero would try to get in there, but Nova Legion right now would be running in against him. Nero all alone. No one to help him, and a war chest just being looted, but Sebas and Lopez and the glue wall saves him, but unfortunately Lopez still managed to land a final blow, and he will be taken down once again. PE Sports, despite of them being in trouble, they keep getting their teammates back, which is a good thing.
Yeah, Nero going window shopping and completely forgot about the urgency. And now Evo's getting gunned down. Zach taking one, Probate with a second, and Evo's instantly bails. Aim God making the right call to get out of there. I think Russia also was able to follow suit. The launch pad is right there in the open, but Clear Vision decided that they would settle for 2, and Evo is finally being put to a stop in terms of aggression.
Let's see if the aggression can continue on. Clear Vision right now, 3 elimination, but outside of the next phase of the circle. They need to move fast, but where will they be heading? Now, as we look into the horizon, RQ would be in their path, and oh no, not in their path, but they're the ones, Clear Vision is the ones waiting for RQ to get in, but they might be spending too much time because in a bit, a lot of teams will be already take those real estate into the next phase, and they might be the one losing out.
Solid and Falcons right across, separated just by a mile of road. GOW also in the vicinity. So posture's being fired over, I believe. That should be from Falcons. It's either that or Red Hawks, who technically have the better position. Not really surrounded by anything aside from a body of water and where they are on the northern side of the map. Clear Vision now needs to find a way to make it into the safe zone away from the blue. And RQ delaying their rotation. That's going to make life for Clear Vision slightly harder.
Yeah, it's difficult right now. I guess the reason why they are delaying it because they don't want to be targeted, especially if they are on the map as they try to chase down on Anas. Still 2 minutes on the clock right now, and Hotshots know exactly where they will be coming from. Now, as they move in far away from the south to where the next phase of the circle, a lot of teams are already gathered in, and Evo Zivine with plenty of elimination might be targeting and seeing PE Sports, gunning them down, and Aim God right now stuck in one corner, but it's a good thing that he managed to fight out against LBT, but Aim God will be receiving a lot of damage from all sides.
And Aim God just keeps on stepping on the gas. He is pushing forward and now calling for the rest of his team to join him in that aggression. Nolan being able to hold his own. Look at the amount of Steffi circles on the ground. Lao Ho with the first one onto Aim God, and PE Sports finally shows retaliation. Kochu down low wins the fight, but Cluso from afar. Nova Legions decide that they want a piece of the pie as well. Kochu gets a pan in the face. Riptide Ridden from downtown. Lopez with the cleanup, and PE Sports fall victim.
PE Sports down and out once again. Compared to Evo Divine, they managed to have Rasia survive that fight. It's a good insurance policy as well. One sniper far away from the rest of the team, though he did manage to go for the knockdown elimination for PE Sports. He can also help them get the team back into play. And there you have it.
Wow.
Whole squad is back from the ashes right now. But the only question is, where will they be dropping?
Russia with the rescue, and this could just be what Evos need to get past the finishing line. And Russia converts it onto Abai. Nova Legions keeping RQ occupied, but RQ now realizes that there's more than one party. Riptide Rhythm for downtown. Ekao forced to use the Riptide Rhythm as Russia continues to rally behind the team. Aim God now is going to follow up. Gets in a knock on the Deuce. Russia is going to drive in. Watch out, it's a drive-by. And Ma'ao goes down. Deuce also knocked. Evo Divine not letting go of a single beat as they run into Ekao, knock him down. Evo's claiming 15 points.
Whew. Make that 16 points, and let's see if they'll 17. The points are still not stopping from counting, but for Hotshots right now, it seems like they are counting the number of seconds that they might be able to survive against these two players of Clear Vision, because it seems like they will be able to fight back, but unfortunately Leo was hit with M590 by Zach. Eunice right now, Cryo Mine and Focus would be averted, but Anas needs to get away, because that once that glue wall is down, then he might be gunned out as well. And there you have it. Hotshots right now about to be eliminated once again, and hopefully they can recover.
Most of Evo's Divine's players just perished to the blue zone, and now they're down to one member again. It is brutal. The late game storm does hurt. Late game blue zone actually packs quite a punch. Abai also left alone to his own devices as him and Kochu. Kochu is going to be playing around the edges with Team Falcons having a very good shot of finding him if he pops his head out in the open. And even if Evos gets knocked out right now, they've gotten more than enough eliminations to make up for it.
Oh yeah.
Falcons showing up on the rooftop of Team Solid. They drop down the dome, but instant utility being dumped out. Falcons might have walked right into the Hornet's Nest. They need some help right now, but the FGL is not making it easy. As Team Solid now to show themselves, slowly walk out, Riptide Rhythm, Monster Truck, drop down the utilities. They're making Team Falcons suffocate.
Oh, definitely suffocate and inhale all those smoke from the FGL. But good enough, they're still alive and kicking despite of being knocked down plenty of times. Pina managed to go in onto the ground right now. And one reason why Team Solid understands that they have to pull out that FGL, because it happened earlier as well. Team Falcons was above them, and they just jump in there. But on the other side, we've seen a takedown of Clear Vision. Pina still alive and kicking.
No!
I'm not sure if he does have any HP. He waited for that last second, but he didn't anticipate it. Cryo Mind will eat up his HP. But on the other hand, Red Hawks being taken down one at a time.
Pina walked out of rage and walked back in. Slightly unfortunate for Team Falcons as another fight breaks out on the other end with GOW against BRU. Actually, BRU calls for a retreat. They're not going to participate in this. They're not going to entertain GOW, and Coach Yu is the one who receives that instead. Wasana finally takes him out. Evos will be eliminated in 7th place. GOW turned their attention over the Falcons. Hans getting the knock onto limit, but they got to remember that BRU is nearby, so they cannot take their eyes off of the tie.
Cryo Mind being thrown into GOW. Also one from Moshi right now. And there goes a knock. Now, quite surprising that Terrorism United is not aggressing that much on GOW. It's probably because the barricade from GOW was just too difficult to go through. But that also saves Team Falcons from, or rather, Team Solid from being annihilated from afar and working with Red Hawks. 7 elimination already, still a full squad, and we might be seeing the same team once again. But Team Solid's looking like the contender for the Booyah.
And these Falcons will have to wait a game extra for that hat trick because they have been eliminated. The pressure was just too much from that earlier chain of events. Team Solid having a very good position to work with, completely isolating themselves from the rest of the fight. But when this circle starts moving, then they will be the one that has to travel the furthest. Grenade cooked up by Jonah right into the nest of GOW, blocked by a glue wall. GOW will hold for now, as Team Solid will be the one that is going to be gatekeeping the rotations of these teams.
Oh, Abe right now, the only survivor from RRQ will be taken down by Jonah. Team Solid could have just naded him off, adding to the 7 they already have. Now, they will need to focus on Terrorism United, and they might be letting go of one player from Red Hawks right now that is behind. But it is GOW that they will be taken down, and there you have it. A double elimination with a nade, and 9 probably will be added if the single player from Red Hawks would be spotted.
See Team Solid now in a prime position to close out the round. The X Factor is going to be the sole survival of Red Hawks. They find him, they will be good. Yep, clean him up, tie up the loose ends, the them against BRU. And you've done this before, boys. This could be another statement piece. BRU taking this fight very cautious. Glue melters are out, a 2-2 split. Nick and Hak on one side.
Yeah, it's a battle not only for this Booyah, but also in leaderboard, because if we are not forgetting, they are also tied with 253 before the game has started. But as you can see right now, Nick's managed to go and for the knockdown, but unfortunately a couple of players as well shoot one of their own. Now, it's a 2v1 situation, quickly turn around, but traps M79 doesn't work, and there goes Terrorism United for their 3rd Booyah.
BRU puts themselves on the board again after 2 close calls in the opening rounds of the day. High fives all over from Wasana. People did say that without Wasana, there's no win, and Wasana delivers it right on a silver platter to the Thai fans. And so far, Neptune this entire day has been a Thailand party.
Yeah, I mean, it is spicy, and you know how it is with Thailand. They love those spies, and as well as heating up the battlefield. But it's a good thing that Spirit's not out for those who are not making it well. But for Evo Divine, we saw a huge game from that next era map. A lot of elimination, but unfortunately they couldn't survive any longer. But let's not take away from Booyah takers of that game. It is Terrorism United with Wasana, Moshi, Get High, Jonah, and the Cruise into the mix. And I'm loving that they are showing up this time around. Similar to what we've seen in Team Falcons, they know that they need to move up if needed and show their presence to the rest of the team stepping into the grand finals.
Been quite a while since BRU has really reached the summit of any competition, you know, and staked their name at the top. They have tried. The past 2 years have not been kind to them, always falling short on the finishing line. This is another chance for them to make that redemption arc. But unlike the previous 2 years, a lot of teams are out for blood. And BRU, they are forced to work, twice, 3 times as hard. And these booyahs now mean more than just it's just a trophy, right? It means more than just, an icing on the cake. It actually signifies that BRU is still in the game.
Yeah, definitely. They are in the game and also aiming for that championship, because you know how it is when we go into the grand finals, that champion rush condition needs to be achieved, as well as that booyah, that final booyah to be crowned. So this is some of the teams that like, this is one of the tactics that the teams has been working on, especially in this latter part of knockout stage, if they're sure already that they will be getting in. And it seems like those top teams, from what we've seen in the overall standings earlier up until today or after that match, they are just preparing for that. But let's take a look at the total points that every team has gathered from that next era as we look into the game standings.
And you can see that EVO's Divine, even though they got knocked out, I think, in like 7th, 8th spot, because they got so much eliminations that it really didn't matter. Made up for it. 23 points across the board, alongside BRU, who have 11 eliminations, and also a booyah to boot. Team Solid, again, showing us another solid performance with a 20-point bomb, and every other team fighting for whatever remains. Red Hawks pushed themselves top 4 again. We talked about this at the start of the show, Neptune. Yep. Red Hawks, there's something else. They might not have had the chance to go into the grand finals, but they are putting up a hell of a show.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is the one thing that I would say for Red Hawks right now. Make sure that they remember this moment. We're in there winning all those engagement, getting a lot of points, getting a lot of placement, because if they can relive this on the next instance that they jump into the global finals, they will be getting better. Compared to what we've seen in the first few games, I think there's a lot of hesitation, a lot of pressure for Red Hawks. And now that they're almost out of the competition, there's really nowhere to nothing to lose right now, and they're just showing their true colors.
And what better way to show it than when the stakes are this high? PE Sports, sadly, haven't gotten even into double-digit territory. 7 points. I guess it's still better than the 1 point in round 1, 1 point in round 2. They got 5 in match 3. This one was a bit of a tough situation. They kind of got sabotaged by EVO's Divine, getting third party. But at the end of the day, for PE Sports, they got to really, thank their saving graces that they started as the overall top 3 before today. And so they have a cushion to fall back on.
Well, looking at that board, I mean, PE Sports is one of my predictions, and seems like they don't want me to get all 3 in there. So, well, let's see though. I mean, Team Falcon is still on the board, and RRQ is slowly moving up as well, and there's still 3 more games to play in this match. Before we go and prepare for Alpine, let's take a peek on a highlight of Nextera and what happened in that game, because initially there's not so much of hot drop that happened, but it's more up from the mid to late game where all those engagements follow through.
And I think it's also fair to mention that so far to this point, PE Sports hasn't gotten a single survival point, right? A single placement point, which is speaking volumes in how the day has gone for them so far. But for the rest of the teams that have been really tearing it up, from EVOS to Team Solid to Falcons and BRU, we can sort of see the pattern, right? Teams who are willing to take initiative, who are confident in winning these fights, and who are, willing to take that extra step to snowball and keep that lead going, are getting rewarded.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, reward is just in the corner. Let's take a peek on what Brim United has brought into the battlefield, and I thought I was mistaken when I saw Moshi pull out that cryo mine, because I was expecting him to get that Skylar, but he used the Nero, and I'm loving it because he can spot out the opponent as well, put some pressure once that is in. And with that Valiant Dash, together with Staffy as well as A124, it's more of an aggressive approach coming from Buriram United right now. And Wasana is back in play, despite of like going down in most instances when he rushing against the opponent.
Yeah, and not only that, I think it's also helps them to lock down zones very effectively, right? If you try to take them on and they dump their abilities on you, you are forced to fight raw, no glue walls, no abilities. But to make matters worse, you are losing health every single interval, and that is what makes this composition so scary, especially when you have one of the greatest of all time snipers, Moshi, in the roster. He was the one that led them to a 2022 win in Bangkok, and now he's here to do it again in Jakarta.
And let's see if that would come into fruition right now. And I'm really loving the turn advantage, but it's more of Thailand taking the reign. Though it's no surprise. This is one thing that we have expected so far from a lot of instances when Southeast Asia is involved or Thailand is involved in a tournament. But, well, better late than never. Team Falcons refers to Brim United on the 3rd, and let's see who's going in onto the next map once we go in. But it's quite surprising, Husky, that we've already ended 3 matches, and it seems like it's quite quick.
It is, right? Like Battle Royale cruise too very fast, and not to mention that the average game time has actually increased by like I think a solid 2 to 3 minutes per round, and we are still going through it. I felt like the night has just begun, but for these teams it has been quite an eventful day, especially the teams that we saw on cam just now. Some of them, they were not really having a great time. You can see the pressure is starting to get to them. Things are not working out. But the good news is that we're only halfway through. There's 3 more rounds left for them to redeem themselves.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure for those who are on their last run, especially if they're looking to get into the grand finals or very close to get into the grand finals. We did mention about a threshold the teams will be following, and from what we've seen as well in the overall standing earlier, we have 2 of which United and Team Solid who managed to cross over that 270 mark. But right now we are going to just wait for what's about to happen right now. But we're going to go for a quick break. When we return, we continue on the second half of this day. So do enjoy this video and don't go away. We will be right back for more Free Fire action.
In this arena, timing is everything. Move too early and you fall. Move too late, you're dead. With the best timing and strategy, even giants can bleed. Here are your CS highlights of the week. Games King and Joker lived up to their names. The true king and jester of FFWS.
Double kill. Possible, but it finally falls into the hands of Joker. That's what we were looking for.
Games King, the one true king. He doesn't just play the game, he dictates
Double
it.
kill. Finishes off that round. Huge plays being made by R7.
Alan blessed by B. Hui, the guardian angel turned demon, a heavenly demonic snipe.
Triple kill.
In a single blast, he turned chaos into domination. Pax's meteoric grenade devastated E1.
First blood.
LBT, the apex predator of the arena. LBT is the lethal beast tyrant.
Looking to do it, and he does it. He's more stays.
Here is how the brackets look after another unforgettable Week 1 of FFWS CS 2025. The fight for the throne never slows, it intensifies. Their names echo through the arena tonight. Comes dawn, new legends will take their shot.
¿Qué onda? Soy Lopez de Nova Legion y bienvenidos al Kit to Hit.
Xin chào các bạn, mình là Nero đến từ P-Support. Chào mừng các bạn đến với Hit to Hit.
Pues creo que no hay mucho que decir quién es mejor. Yo creo que obvio que América, porque estamos por arriba de la...
พวกลาแทมอ่ะไม่ได้ตึงหรอกเดี๋ยวผมเล่นให้ดู
Em thấy khi mà ra thế giới thì em nghĩ là không có đội tuyển nào yếu hết.
Lux es el equipo actual campeón del mundo, pero ya creo que pasaron su tiempo y estamos acá para quitarle la corona.
É, sempre falam a mesma coisa, mas 2 anos seguidos deu a lógica. Vamos fazer acontecer de novo nesse terceiro.
E eu acho que a região que mais tem que melhorar é a Ásia. Acho que são poucos times assim que dominam e eles têm que focar mais no endgame.
Với sự tham gia của 4 đội Việt Nam trong trận đấu lần này, chúng tôi sẽ chứng minh cho các bạn rằng khu vực Việt Nam không hề yếu.
เฮ้ยพวกเวียดนามอะทำไมตอบสวยจังวะเฮ้ยเราเป็นคนเอเชียนะ
E para todos os equipos asiáticos que querem aprender como se juega de verdade, eu dou classes los jueves, no cobro mucho.
Hello teacher.
Para todos los equipos ahí, pongan las pilas, vamos salir mucho más agresivo que la primera semana. Y ya, soy López de Nova Legion.
Ayo Gigi, it's Yulsa here and I'm with our best performance team at the moment, Team Falcons. Hello Keroro. So, I saw your performance was very perfect. So let's do a bump fist, shall we? Boom, booyah. All right. So thank you a lot. So it's my pleasure to interview you guys today. Let's jump into our first questions. With 2 booyahs in games 1 and game 2, Falcons seems to have finally woken up and found their form. So what changed?
เมื่อกี้ที่ผ่านมาคือทีมฟาลคอนได้บูย่า2 เกมติดเลยคือเกม 1 กับเกม 2 เหมือนกับว่าตอนนี้ทีมเราตื่นขึ้นแล้วมีอะไรที่เปลี่ยนแปลงไปบ้างคะ
ก็เปลี่ยนสไตล์การเล่นครับจากไล่ยิงเป็นเน้นเข้าวงเอาพื้นที่ก่อนครับ
We have changed the playstyle from focusing on elimination to focusing on get inside the last circle.
Yeah, so that is like a hunting style, right? Impressive. All right, into our second one. Do you think we will see more booyahs from Falcon today?
คิดว่าเราจะได้เห็นบูย่าเพิ่มเติมจากทีมฟาลคอนวันนี้ไหมคะ
ก็คิดว่าอาจจะได้เพิ่มครับแต่ก็เอาท็อป 3 ดีกว่าครับ
Maybe we can get it but we will focus on being the top 3 first.
Oh, top 3. I think that is a very good thing to hear. All right, then we have heard everything from our Keroro and of course Team Falcons. Thank you, Bun, so much. And this is the end of my interview. Let's go to Conchita interview.
All right. Thank you so much, Yunsul. We're not done yet with the interview, Survivor, because I'm here with one of the home team, EVOS Divine. Let's have a bit of a chit-chat with both Rasha and AMD. So, how's it going, guys? Gimana nih kabarnya? Masuk ke game keempat, tetap semangat?
Semangat terus.
Okay, so the first question is, EVOS is currently sitting at the 13th position with 129 points. And obviously, this is not safe yet. This is still a dangerous position. Is the pressure starting to build? Sekarang kan EVOS ada di urutan ke-13, 129 poin. Yang artinya, posisi kalian masih belum bener-bener aman nih. Apakah pressure udah mulai kerasa sekarang, MGOT?
Biasa aja.
Biasa aja? Chill? So you're not stressed out, no pressure whatsoever, just trying to do your best?
Udah pernah soalnya di Brazil juga kayak gini kan. Jadi kalau buat aku biasa aja tapi tetap berusaha yang maksimal.
Okay, so he said that they're feeling calm. They were in the same or similar position back in Brazil. So yeah, there's nothing different about it. They're just trying to do the best. And of course, they're trying to win and get as much points as possible. Second questions. I think I'm going to go to Russia. Okay, so Russia, in the last game, though you got eliminated pretty early, you actually managed to successfully secure 19 elimination points. Is that the strategy going forward to be more aggressive? Kalau kita lihat di game sebelumnya nih, game kedua meskipun eliminasinya bisa dibilang agak cepat ya kalian, tapi poin eliminasi yang kalian dapetin juga cukup luar biasa, 19. Apakah emang strateginya jadi lebih agresif sekarang?
Ya pastinya, karena kan kita juga bisa dibilang lagi butuh poin lah. Jadinya kita bakalan main kayak harimau.
Ooh, so of course that's the strategy that they're trying to do from now on because they need as much points as possible and they're gonna be playing like tigers. All right, good luck guys, we still have 3 more games to go. Let's do a group high five, okay? 3, 2, 1, EVOS Divine, let's go! Take it away, casters!
And there you have it. Thank you very much, Conchita, Caroline, and Yunsul, as well as Team Falcons and EVOS Divine. We've seen great strides being done by Team Falcons, and for EVOS Divine, there's still a lot more that needs to be done. But we've heard it from the team themselves. They are prepared. They are trying their best to catch up. And even from the last game, we've seen them really bring it on. But I'm looking forward to more of this battle because from what we've seen earlier, EVOS Divine has been targeted PE Sports, and looking at the overall standings, they're the ones, PE Sports, the one holding on the 12th spot above EVOS.
And I think this is how like those cut-offs are set up, right? We have seen so many examples of the 12th place team or a team that is kind of gatekeeping the qualification, get hunted down, and I think now it really puts PE Sports in a very uncomfortable situation because nothing they've been doing is working out. We know like EVOS is one of the teams, once they lock eyes on you, once they start deciding that you are the target, they're gonna hunt you down every single round. And the team that knows that feeling very well was Core Memory, right? At EWC, they were getting hunted by EVOS every single round in the grand finals. Even when EVOS didn't need to do that, they still committed. Now PE Sports needs to somehow find a way to actually stop EVOS on Alpine.
Yeah, let's see though if, well, that's the first goal, to stop EVOS in Alpine and also move up the ranks. Because looking at the numbers from the past games that they played for Group A and B, they are, or EVOS Divine is way down at the bottom of our Alpine standing. For PE Sports, they're in the middle, so I guess PE Sports has that fighting chance. But who's taking the lead right now? It is GOW, and we've seen that fighting game coming from GOW, especially for this day. I mean, first, they are the ones who took down RRQ and won of that game in Kalahari, and as well as tried their best to survive longer than the other teams. But if they are being brought into one of their best map with 43 points, similar to Brim United, they might be able to get or to give so much trouble for those trying to catch up.
And this is literally crunch time. I think when we look at the teams that are playing today, and we take a look at sort of the Alpine performers, there really isn't much that you can look at for certain teams like EVOS Divine to kind of put up a good show, right? That's not their top 3 maps for now. You can say the same for Falcons as well, which I think at least in the start of this day, it's quite shocking. I think Team Falcons is 3rd in terms of Alpine ranking, and just based off of that alone, they have an average of 11 points on that map. So with that being put into perspective, there are certain factors that I feel like can kind of shift the domination on that map, and it's EVOS having the momentum right now, and PE Sports just not getting anything going.
Yeah, let's see though. I mean, there's a lot of talk for Team Falcons and EVOS right now, but let's shift our focus in a team that, like, it has brought in the hype, especially when they are in play, when they are in part of the group. And right now, also taking that #1 spot. For that final battle between Brim United and Team Solid, Brim United has won that fight. Thus, we are showing some of the comments on one of the players, I would say one of the best rushers in Southeast Asia, Wasana, wherein he is the most overrated player. Do you agree with this? Because it seems like from the past, from the previous week, this is true.
I mean, if we just base off of recent performance, then sure, he has been struggling a little bit. But I think when you look at his overall tenure as a pro player, right, when he was still in Magic Esports, the same team as Saming, he was one of the best acquisition after that. When BRU brought him in, we said that this guy was the missing piece. He's the reason that BRU is going to win a trophy. They didn't win a trophy that year. It took Wasana 1 year to actually get his first trophy with BRU. But even in rounds that BRU were dominating, that BRU was struggling, Wasana was the one that really brings them back, that keeps them afloat. So I don't think it's overrated in an overall sense. I think these players just don't like him for being too good at the game. You know, that's my take.
Yeah, well, going back to the story that you mentioned, I mean, every time that the rest of EVOs, rather, the rest of Brim is not performing, Wasana is on top. And will that be like something that is very ironic? Because you would expect that Brim United would be like lifting each other up. But we also know for a fact that every time that they're in play, and from the interviews that we've seen, every time they get that booyah, they are not bringing one player in the pedestal. They're at least trying to beat them on that MVP. So would that be a factor as well? Why at some point they are failing their tactics? Because there's I couldn't say infighting, but there's a little bit of that when they are in play, because they want to beat each other on that MVP spot.
Oh yes, I mean, we have some players, I think, over the recent 2-3 years who have gotten MVP titles but still came out winless, right? Like the Uncrowned King Teams. Again, Dew is one of the best examples out there. And I think Wasana also, as an individual has, even on his worst days, is still someone that you can rely on, right? There's only so much one man can do, if you want him to 1v4 every single round, of course he's not going to look that good. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it's wise to constantly pay respects to one of the young greats of one of the strongest regions we have. Let's head to Alpine for round 4 and see if Wasana can prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, well, speaking of Alpine, this is one of the best map as well of Brim United. They follow GOW in the current standings when we talk about Group A and B. And also, every time they play this map, they're always on the top. The only question, though, is can they maintain that? Because it seems like there's so much of contention, especially when other regions are involved. But one saving grace for now in this grouping for Brim United is Team Fluxo is not there. Otherwise, or R7 rather. Otherwise, they are the ones who will be hunting them in Alpine because they're always taking their drop in Snowfall.
See, this BRU Snowfall is a classic. Usually teams give BRU enough respect to not contest them, but the 18 Deer, I believe, was popped by LBT. Yeah, there it is.
Oh.
Poof.
Yep.
There it is, first blood. P Sports getting the first
point.
point.
Delayed. A little bit delayed though on that shot. I didn't expect that to be that slow, but well, that's the first blood right now. But clear vision going against Nova Legion. Now let's see if the team from Peru will be able to go against toe-to-toe in the team from Morocco right now, because clear vision, despite of a great showing coming from them for today, they're still in 16th spot, very close to really being relegated out of the competition. But let's see if this is continuing. This will continue on for Red Cliff though, because we know how it is for Red Cliff. They're also trying for survivability, but unfortunately they meet up with Brim United in their rotation.
Yeah, and hope extinguished for now. Moshi instead 1v1 easily wins that, no problem. The third point for BRU. And Red Cliff just ran into the wrong opponents, picked the wrong fight. It's a different weight class for now. So BRU leaves Snowfall, gets 3 points, and now can move to Garrison if they want. And continue to loot up for that mid phase.
Yeah, I mean, quite surprising. Snowfall was left very early by Brim United. Not quite sure if it's shots coming from Red Cliff or they are just planning not to stay that long in their drop spot, because we did mention that there's a lot of teams targeting them in that specific rotation because they know for a fact that that's where they're dropping. So let's see if that would continue on for Brim United, Booyah takers of previous game. But the battle continues between Nova Legion and Clear Vision, and let's see who's going to win. A little bit of hitless as well onto Blade coming from GOW on the other side, and Zach will be taken out with a Mag 7, and the payback coming from Clear Vision right now. Now, Sivas will finish them off as well, and seems like Clear Vision would clearly be taken out of this game if Sharon will be eliminated.
He's going to try and drive away to safety, and Nova Legion not able to confirm that. Big smile on Lopez's face as Nova Legion flushes Clear Vision out of stadium. And I guess we kind of decked out the arsenal a little bit. Even overall damage leaders, you can see Jonah still in first with Moshi coming in second. And BRU just doing BRU things, right? Wasana in fourth with most eliminations as well. It's a classic BRU, and Sharin, he is going to ride off into the sunset.
Well, into the sunset, into the seas. I'm not sure what the plan is, but I guess the ideation is just to get away from vision of everyone else. As long as you're still within the area, you can rotate and still plenty of time to spare. Because the first zone, first going to the second, is not doesn't hurt that much. Now, Ray right now, a few shots being made onto Hotshot, and it's just tough for Hotshot. They have been taking great position, but unfortunately for them, the defense is not that strong, especially if Evo Zivine is involved. You get that Razzia snipe onto them, then they will be in trouble. But it's a good thing that Evo Zivine is not staying that long, because they might be expecting a third party as well. There's plenty of loot that they need to, that they can get if they pull away from that Hotshot team.
Yeah. And I think it's also a reflection of what of the interview that we heard just now between Conchita and AimGod and Russia, where they don't really feel the nerves, at least not for now. They've been in this spot before, like AimGod said. The pressure is sort of second nature to them, but even according to Russia, right, going aggressive seems to be the way for now because they do need points. They're desperate for points, and if they can replicate the performance of that 19 elimination game, previously, they can definitely meet that quota by the end of the day.
And let's see though, but on the other side, we have RQ going against Red Hawks right now. There goes FGL. No one has been damaged just yet, but a barrage of a fire grenade from RRQ being thrown at them, and this might be it. Now, on the other side, Maal just taking a peek, and that time turner doesn't save them from being shut down, even as they try to jump away from RRQ. It's a good thing that Kutush tried to split up, and this is saving grace. Kutush with a distraction to give that opening onto the other player for Red Hawks to get into the vending machine. So, smart play coming from Red Hawks right now, I believe.
Yeah, just willingly sacrificing himself. Ninja will bring Blade back into action. Kutush was looking for conversion, but 18 there shuts him down. Prompt. RRQ finding the third elimination, but it's fine. Our Red Hawks still in the running. 6 minutes in, and all 12 teams are still in the game.
Yeah, and this seems to be troublesome later on if they manage to survive longer. Yes, we were expecting that some of the teams will be eliminated early, but I'm loving the adjustments being made. Even for Red Cliff, wherein they were gunned down earlier, now they need to deal with PE Sports. And one thing that would be saving grace for Red Cliff is PE Sports is being cautious. They don't want to end up at the bottom of the game standing once again, so they will be hanging back in here. I'm quite surprised though that PE Sports fired back because that exposes potential enemies to go against them, but hopefully they can barricade themselves as well. They're saving up on a lot of resources right now so that they can move from first to second a little bit safer.
Is ironically the best round for PE Sports so far, but because all 12 teams are still in the lobby, technically they haven't gone out of the woods just yet. Still looking for their first placement points today. Only Clear Vision is on the far west side. They say that they are one of the teams that like to play slow, but every other team have basically been hard reading the circle and are within close proximity of one another. Team Solid against RRQ on the feed just now. Knockdowns occur, but pickups are also very, very prompt.
Yeah, let's see though. And RRQ lost one of the players, and there you have it. Toots will be back from the ashes. Now, Brave United taking the northern side, but the only difference compared to what we've seen earlier, there's a lot of contention right here. The saving grace for Brave United is the two teams surrounding them is Red Cliff and Red Hawks, and we know for a fact that they can easily deal with them unless some miracle happen against Brave United. Now, for Evo Divine, a backstab was averted by AimGod with that Trogon, and Floki would be taken down together with another one. Evo Divine on the chase, and a little bit of delay, but still Rasia managed to take a landing hit and getting 4 elimination at this point.
Yeah, Rasia waving them goodbye too. Live on site. As the blood gets flowing for Evos, this is the aggression, the snowballing effect that we talked about. It's just one good round, and you can have a team start tearing up the competition. And if you even can replicate that close to 20 eliminations per round, I don't care if they get knocked out first. They will have more than enough points to make up for it.
Oh, let's see on how much points they can grab at this point. And motivation is there. I mean, the momentum is there as well. Hopefully it doesn't go too much to their head because that's where all the risk is. But speaking of risk, Team Solid hunting Team Falcons down. Not quite sure if this is intentional, but I guess great minds think alike, or what I always say, great minds think a lot because they always end up in the same spot. Team Solid, GOW, and Falcons. I'm including GOW in this list of the top dogs, top contenders, because this is their map from historical record. So let's see if GOW can manage to defend themselves from this area, because another contender on the other side as well, which is Evo Divine, who is our elimination leader at this point.
Yeah. Captain AimGod just now was thinking of moving slightly forward, but ultimately made the call to split into 2 squads. But they want to cover as much ground as possible, so AimGod continues his reconnaissance. So the entire southern side of this compound is going to basically go over to Evos at base camp. Both Falcons, solid. Including GOW, all stay in silence. All this takes is a good binoculars from Evos Divine, and they will basically know what's ahead of them.
Let's see if they'll be able to spot out who's ahead of them. But out of the 11 teams, 4 are in here in base camp, and there's a lot of stragglers out there. One of which is Clear Vision, who might be running into Buram United right now. They stopped directly right next onto them, just putting themselves just on that edge. But unfortunately, they have been spotted by that binocular, and Buram United might be going in all against them later on. Also, Red Hawks is in the vicinity, so if Buram United spots them as well, then BRU might be playing it safe, moving away, but the 10-minute mark is already there, and we know how it is. Buram United starts off those engagement from here on.
One of the few late game masters, just very good at making the calls, but not only that, when you fight BRU, you gotta cut off the head of the snake. You can't settle for a knockdown. It has to be extermination. And BRU springing into action. Gonna start moving forward, closer into the circle. A BRU that makes the leg rotation might just be the winning formula in this round, with all the other teams very likely to be preoccupied in their own affairs.
Let's see though. I mean, we've seen Clear Vision as well jump into Sunside, and PE Sports is occupying the area. A little bit of a healing has been done by Clear Vision, probably being gunned down by PE Sports as they jump in. But I love this position as well because there's a lot of cover that can be used. You can save up on your glue walls if you're on Sunside. The only difference though is once someone or some other team jumps on you, there's a maze that you need to work on before you can fight through. So let's see on how that plan will be put into fruition, as the Bangladeshi team as well is tanking the blue, cautious of anyone who might be gatekeeping them.
And look at this bird's eye view. It's about to get very, very messy. And starting with PE Sports. And unfortunately for them, they don't get to choose who they take on as Sunside. It's BRU on one end, Clear Vision from the north. Red Hawks also slowly approaching. It's about to get very messy. You see the engine roar up. And Red Hawks take the attention of BRU first. That should give some information to PE Sports, who are waiting with Red Hawks. Always 1-1 BRU picked up a couple of eliminations along the way. Blade, they only survive for so long as Red Hawks are out BRU with 6 eliminations.
Yeah, I mean, earlier it is Red Hawks who really is putting their A game at this point when we look at the bottom part of the leaderboard. But unfortunately, I guess those gas are draining out, and they are losing out on the gunfight as well for Red Cliff. Cryo mine onto them. Minigun has been put out, and seems like they do have a fighting chance against GOW, Liko, and a Bison. But there goes the rush. Hans right now will try to finish them off, and Red Cliff will be falling off the cliff following Red Hawks. And GOW is still back in play. 4 eliminations at this point, and a few more loots to boot.
They have to start getting out of the blue because it is really hurting. Clear Vision, unfortunately, forced deeper into the blue by PE Sports. BRU decides to not intervene in this one, as PE Sports, they force Clear Vision away, and now they make contact with RRQ. They want to hold this circle around Sunside, but it's going to be a tall task. Clear Vision with the launch pad right into the circle away from the blue, but PE Sports now will have to make an executive decision on who to gatekeep first. GOW is about to join the conversation.
Placido, who's going to survive this battle because the lighting zone is also on. RRQ putting all the nades in there, spite of that Steffi being pulled in. It seems like Evo Divine will still go in for a spree right now in terms of elimination. Now, for elimination at this point, they are trying to chase down on hot shots, and Leo will be spotted. Anas will be spotted. Another one is left as Action would be stuck in a corner, and Evo Divine are the ones eliminating them. Those gunshots, though, will pull in Team Falcons from the right as well as Brim United on the left. So Eva's Vine might be pinched in a bit, but let's focus on Team Solid. There goes Cryomine onto RRQ, and Nate being loved. Dutch being taken down by Hack with a Winchester.
And a Hack converts this to Guaxia. Also pulls his away. Zach from Clear Vision steals a buy away, and Guaxia is not going to let that go easily. Thieves do not have happy endings, and Team Solid will make that statement clear. Clear Vision now in a very rough spot as Guaxia takes them down. Yunus with a double nade onto PE Sports. Collateral damage all around this final battle as Jonah takes down 2 from Evos. BRU rocking 10 eliminations and counting.
Yeah, RQ eliminated already by Team Solid, and Brim United with 10 might be able to follow through if this hits Evo's Divine, but they need to move because that blue is going to hurt. Plus the lightning zone is also activated. Wasana for the rush, Valiant dash, and Ray would be going down. Level elimination already. Kochi will not be chilling anymore. He would be the villain in this fight, and the hero would be Brim United. 5 teams remain in this battle, and BRU is still a full squad.
And Sunside turns into a war zone too. Guaxia getting knocked down. Jonah with the Winchester fights Keroro. It is just pandemonium in this final zone. Down to 5 teams and a couple of members bleeding out and just trying to stay clear of trouble, but On Fire will be blasted by LBT. PE Sports having the best round they've had so far. LBT with the finisher, and Falcons are out. BRU decides to pull back and play with the circle instead.
Yeah, well, speaking of circle, it will be shifting, and it is Brim United who has the opportunity to shift with it. PE Sports right now being rushed, and Jono would be taken out with a VSK coming from Lau. Here comes the pickup as well as recovery. PE Sports is still on their heels. LBT and Jonah, but LBT will need to back away because there's HP being gunned down, being chipped away by BRU. Not only that, BZP-10 hiding out, glue wall in there, fortified, and no one can knock against him. Clear Vision, though, also have 1 player, but it would be taken out by Lau Ho, and Sharon would be out. 3 teams remain, and BRU might be looking for a back-to-back again.
CD, Cryomine 2 splitting LBT from the rest of his team. Team Solid out. BRU having the man advantage and 14 eliminations. Will try to win this with 17 if they can take out PE Sports. It's an uphill battle. PE Sports having the best round they had so far, but BRU might just be the undoing as Jonah starts it off with a bomb on the LBT. Easily make into a sandwich by the end of this. Lau Ho gunned down. BRU on the board with their own back-to-back booyah.
And again, the tie domination continues. After 4 matches, 2 teams managed to get a back-to-back booyah. And we are talking about teams that are no joke. Team Falcons started it off from Solara to Kalahari, and Brim United from Nextera down to Alpine. And we called it. Alpine is one of the best maps of Brim United. It might not have shown from Southeast Asia fall qualifiers into the global finals, but now they are showing the dominance. But one question though is if they show the strength right now, would they be targeted later on the same spots?
I mean, you call one of their star players overrated, he's gonna give it to you tenfold. Another booyah for BRU. We even got a glimpse. Team Solid starting to really feel the sweat drip down their foreheads because they've come so close so many times. They just could not close out a round. But for BRU, it's a chain reaction of just being dominant and playing that late game. You said they are the best on Alpine, but not only that, they have one of the best statistical records. When the game goes past 10 minutes and BRU were uncontested, they are going to have a very high chance of winning the round with the amount of resources that they have amounted up to the very end.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it seems like the late game is working for Brim United right now compared to what we've seen before, because most of the time in the late game, that also cost them a lot. No elimination and then being taken out by a team. But I guess this grouping of A and B is what Brim United is taking advantage of. I did mention Fluxo earlier because most of the time they were the ones gunning them down, and also that includes Movistar R7. So there's a lot of potential for Brim United that they can get another Booyah onto the next map because of how dominant Thailand is showing this time around. And hopefully it continues though, but it's just unfortunate that those trying to catch up into the points will not be able to do so if Thailand continues this.
29 massive points for BRU off of this round. PE Sports getting 15 for themselves. And all things considered, it's a very respectable scoreline. Another 14 for Team Solid. The two Indonesian teams playing today, getting mediocre finishes, and everyone else just left with crumbs, right? Single digits.
Well, it's tough though because it seems like it's top heavy at this point, and this is where stamina is a factor. Some of the teams tried their best in the early parts of this game, and they did move up into the leaderboard, but unfortunately, all those effort, all those energy are dying down, and it's being taken advantage by teams like Brim United, PE Sports, especially. Despite of them failing, they have a plan right now to get themselves back into the board. But for Team Solid, they're also a team that consistency-wise is up par 50% of each game. They are in the top 3, and it still continues even more than Brim United has done.
Yeah, and I think that's something that is going to be a constant reminder, I think, to everyone out there. Let's take a look at today's standings so far after 4 rounds. The team in first, of course, BRU, really pulling ahead of the competition for now. 89 points in total, 2 Booyahs. Team Solid, even without a single Booyah, still came in second with 68. Falcons come in third. And then we start to see the great divide. Evil's Divine 4th, RQ Kazu in 5th spot. And PE Sports, they move up the rankings a little bit. 22 points for them, and the majority of those points from Alpine.
Yeah, well, so far for some of the teams who have the target of achieving, it seems like Brim United and Team Solid, Team Falcons are very close to getting there. But the focus now would be those who are who will be resting it out for tomorrow's game. So yesterday we have Group A and B. Now we have B and yesterday was A and C. Now we have A and B. So those on Group A will need to hustle. And that's one reason why Brim United and Team Solid is doing this much. For PE Sports, they were given an opportunity. They're still top 3 in overall, but they would need to hold on a little bit to be able to get that threshold of 270 that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, and I think that is that's going to be the constant topic, right? As we progress through the rest of the final 2 rounds. I think even from the highlights, we can sort of see how today's the discussion we had about how the teams are approaching day 2 still remains a constant. Getting very early reads on the circle, committing to it, and then we get these bloodbath towards the late game that is starting to be a problem for some of the teams who are still not used to these big scale fights. And you can kind of see the difference in experience, right? For BRU, they get the read, but they don't commit to it, right? They understand that they don't have to rush in, but for teams who are desperate to get a powerful position, you sort of pay the price of being caught in a crossfire. And it's sort of a give and take. And in this case, Falcons for 2 rounds in a row from round 3 to 4 have struggled a little bit where they get the good position, but they just got overwhelmed with the amount of gunfights happening.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree, especially on that map, because a lot of teams has been surviving in the final moment of that game. But, well, let's see, though, if some other team will be taking that board on the Booyah takers, because so far it's just Thailand on a spree. And it's pretty much similar on how AG is reigning. And not in the Booyah, but it's more of the points that they've gathered. And it seems like from the past, some of the teams, especially regions from Indonesia, from Brazil, are doing their best to pull down Thailand out of that throne, out of that pedestal. But seems that but Team Falcons, Brim United would want that prestige back. And that's also one thing that they can carry onto grand finals to be able to show that they are not easy to beat. But let's see on how difficult they are to beat as we look at the skills of the team. Would there be any changes? Seems like there are none. It seems like Moshi still have that Nero, A124 for Jonah, Oscar for Wasana, and Get High with that Steffi. And I'm really liking how they adapt in the current meta of the skills right now.
Yeah, I think it's, if you want to find a team that has a very good grasp on how meta shifts and come up with sort of a all-rounded team, that's gonna be BRU. Jonah, 8 eliminations, another MVP, award granted to him. I think BRU, there was a period of time when when Coach Namo departed from the team and Declong had to take over. Obviously, there were some questions asked, how is BRU gonna move on forward? Is it gonna affect the performance? But I think BRU, even when you leave the coaching staff out of the conversation, you have multi-World Series winners, right? Wasana being the exception, but he is already off that caliber to take that trophy. BRU showing again that those experience that they gotten over the years is something that cannot be replaced by all the other teams out there.
Well, speaking of experience, this is our MVP right now, Captain Buriram United Jonah. 8 elimination, 3,791 and damage and 4 assists, bringing that thrill of battle. And I love the combination of A124 as well as that Cryo Mine. So it's more of a disabler. One disables the skill, another one disables the glue wall that is needed by the rusher of the team to be able to clean house. And the adaptation of Buriram United out of the meta right now, they might have delayed it, but here we can see that they're slowly perfecting this game when it comes to active skill.
And on top of that, you also have one of the newly added utilities, right? The team booster. So talk about trying to take out a already bad and hardened team. Now they get to pick themselves back up. They get to assist each other even more efficiently. That is going to complicate matters when the going gets tough. Again, BRU, with that back-to-back Booyah, kind of taking over what Falcons had set off in the start. It's going to be hard to stop them, right? Maybe a third party is what's needed, but they have been very intelligently avoiding these third-party situations.
And let's see though, now we have the weapon progression at this point from Buriram United and Alpine. And we can see in the beginning of the game, we have Wasana with a Mag 7, P90 from Jonah, as well as a Charge Buster from Moshi, which is surprising. But if that is what you have right now in the beginning of the game, knowing that there's not so much of contention and snowfall, then so be it. But as you can see, this is where the late game play usually happens. Circle 2, Circle 3, they didn't get any of those elimination. I believe it was when they went into Garrison, they went against Red Hawks, thus they got 3 elimination. But as they move along, slowly but surely, they're getting all those shots from afar, especially with the AC-80 Winchester from both Jonah and Get High. And as they get closer to the final of the circle, or the final circles, they switch over to close-range weapons like M590. We have the M79, which you know for a fact Jonah would be wearing.
Nothing beats having just being Moshi, just aura farming, right? Just Charge Buster. No changes at all. This man is something else. But yes, M590 is still very, very deadly. I mean, I enjoy the breath of fresh air, having the Winchester now being part of the meta, right? We've long gone to the days of the Woodpecker, the AC-80 making it in the final circle, the AWM, Winchester for the win, as BRU are now leading in the overall standings. The first and only team so far to break through the 300-point threshold.
Yeah, 300 mark is there, and they're way past the threshold that we're looking for to be able to get into grand finals. The same story for Team Solid. So with this point, with the direct trajectory that they have made overall, they will be resting, sleeping easy at this point, and we're not even done with the day just yet. But let's see if there's something that could change for the other teams, because it seems like it will continue on for Thailand, because Team Falcons grabbed that 2 booyahs, Buriram United also getting 2 booyahs, and it's still not over. Their performance is not dwindling any bit.
Yeah, not at all. And that's momentum in a nutshell, right? BRU actually now is also leading in terms of the booyah, right? Four booyahs in total, the highest elimination so far in the competition. Just classic BRU stuff. The night still is quite far from being over, so this team needs to start locking. This is where we go into how the exhaustion is going to start kicking in. And if you are the teams that are really struggling, still trying to fight for the top 12 spot like EVOS in this matter, you have to keep on pumping out the heat. And for me, I personally feel like it's harder to keep on going aggressive and snowballing than it is to just play slow and, you know, fall back to a safe spot, because there's lesser sense of urgency playing safe than telling a team that we have to keep on going. And it does wear on you.
Yeah, definitely.
And, yeah. I mean, good to see that EVOS is trying to keep that up.
Exactly. I mean, EVOS will try their best to keep up with what is happening, because we also featured earlier that there's a lot that they really need to bring into the table right now. And hopefully into next set of games, next set of map, we'll be able to see them really pop off. Because as we go into the game schedule, we're going to witness as well as to where the teams will be dropping in. We're going into the OG map, the green grass of Bermuda. And the last game for today would be happening in Purgatory. Both are similar in aspects that teams will need to be cautious of.
And you can be sure that wherever you're going to Bermuda, steer clear of peak. That's rule number one, because that's where BRU is going to set up base camp, just like how they did on Alpine. And we have seen teams, you know, start to navigate the area of peak. I think it's a very interesting compound to play around, whether you want to play in the Garden of Maze or inside the building. A lot of close quarter combat. One of the few spots in Bermuda that really offers you that luxury if you are into getting jump scare in battle. But, you know, for teams that like to play from afar, then they probably would consider places like, you know, Clock Tower.
Yeah, and it's one thing that surprised me though. I mean, Peak is dead smack in the middle of Bermuda, and that's where Bremen United is really dominating, or dropping most of the time. Now, I couldn't say dominating because it just is a contrast to their usual approach. You know how it is? They go stay away from all engagement, but if you're in the middle, you really couldn't go away from that much engagement. At some point, someone will be crossing you, someone would be seeing you as well. But the saving grace, though, of where Peak is, there's a lot of zipline that they can use to move out and stay onto the edge. But for those planning to beat down and take down Bremen United when unexpected, they will need to go out. But speaking of Bremen United, we have a fun fact right now, Husky, coming from for Thailand.
Yeah, and it's today a Pad Thai day because the Thai teams collectively have 8 booyahs, tied with Vietnam for the most. And BRU basically have half of the stocks of the current booyahs, 4 out of 8. And doesn't seem like it's going to be stopping anytime soon. Who knows? They might go on to get another 2 booyahs and close out the day with 4. And I love to see, instead of just only Indonesia competing with Thailand, Vietnam now is the one that's taking second spot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's a lot of booyah being taken by Vietnam. But just to break down who got the booyah, so you did mention that Bremen United got 4, and Team Falcons overall got 3 together with the 2 that we had for today, and then AG Global for that 8 for the region. But for Vietnam, it's PE Sports with 3, GOW with 3, and Heavy with 2 as well. So it's just Southeast Asia showing up differently this time around. But let's not forget that Team Solid, despite of not getting a booyah for today, they did get 3 from the past knockout stage.
Yeah. The biggest shocker for me is just WAG really falling off a cliff so far since the fall season. And we'll get our chance to watch them tomorrow when they play their final 6 rounds. For now, let's turn our attention back as we fly back to the El Clasico of Bermuda. It's game number 5 of the day, the second last of the evening. And let's see if BRU will continue the Thai domination tree.
And let's see though, as we are going to see the flight path right now. And, well, teams will be dropping. Let's see where they land. And flight path will be fair from the bottom to the north, from the south to the north. But it won't be fair in terms of hot drop because Nova Legion is going against Red Hawks or vice versa. Whoever is going against each other, it would be a great motivator if they survive this because no one else will be heading into Sentosa that quickly. For the rest of the teams, Redcliffe might be seeing some from up north in Mars Electric, but let's get into Sentosa right now and see the battle unfold.
And right off the bat, Sentosa, Red Hawks against Nova Legion. It's going to be quite a chaotic one. Both teams have kind of put on the pressure on some of our front runners today. They take each other out. It's going to alleviate some of the pressures from teams like PE and EVOS and even RRQ to a certain degree. So Floki, MVP, the first one to take some fire, but was lucky enough to stay up. Nova Legion looking to retaliate against Red Hawks. We can see that Red Hawks are actually slowly backing off. If they can just buy a little time, they put Nerjat right in the front line as Lopez tries to get a good view of where the rest of Red Hawks are. Couldn't find any info, so Red Hawks for now gets to avoid any direct confrontation.
I love it. I mean, they just blocked the approach. They know the position of where Nova Legion is, and one by one, Red Hawks just lined up and they pull away, probably putting themselves in a better position to fight against a Nova Legion. But how can you do it if Sebas is on the rooftop? But seems like it is working. Red Hawks unfazed right now and still be able to prepare themselves from the battle. 14 Falcons, they drop in a little bit closer in the next phase, but there's still plenty of area to loot around. So they head into Shipyard right now, and, well, no one is in the vicinity.
Yeah. For now, Falcons at Shipyard is one of their cover spot too. First Blood, courtesy of Lao Ho. I think found one of the Redcliffe members. As Red Hawks and Nova Legion continues to duke it out right here. Might be a full-blown fight soon. Blade and Nerjat pushing forward. Time Turner drop down by NVL. Reptile Rhythm perfectly placed by Flicker. It's gonna cost the knockdown of Cluso. So Red Hawks started off with their first elimination and Nerjat finds the conversion. Good for the second. Round the corner, gets back up, and Red Hawks wins that convincingly.
Love the crossfire that has been set up in there by Red Hawks just to make sure that one player will not get out that easily. In the moment that that player goes down, Nerjat will try his best to go for that play. Now, as we look into another Bangladesh team, it is Hope from Redcliffe right now, trying to get information for those in clear vision. But speaking of clear vision, it seems like Burim United has clear vision of Hotshots, or vice versa. It seems they will be let go right now, and BRU are slowly hunting them down. But Hotshots moving in fast onto the edge, onto the ridge, and I think this pull away from Burim United might bait Hotshots in that fight.
And this is kind of what more inexperienced team will fall into. They go for the chase, but we check back in a bit. Rasha somehow survives all of that pressure. And I thought Limit would at least get a knockdown. AimGod should know this by now. Limit with Reptile Rhythm forcing AimGod to abandon his cover and put up a second one. Falcons have the upper hand, at least for now, but EVOS manages a clean disengage.
I mean, EVOS is fine. Whether it's Rasya, whether it's Ray or AimGod, they can pull away from battle, but Coach Hill might be the ones going down because On Fire and Pina is already here, or this might be part of plan. Rasya in position for a snipe, giving the opening. He might be able to take down On Fire, but Team Falcons is not falling for it. Here comes Keroro going in for the flank and an opener, but he gets gunned down. Sliver of health, On Fire on the ground, and Team Falcons seems to be falling out of the White Tigers' reign.
Russia did say that they are going to play like ferocious tigers, and they sure are doing so. They're hunting down the Falcons one by one. Pina trying to get away into the hands of Brave. Falcons out in 11, and you can see Rasha celebrating with his fists up in the air. They have weathered that storm, and it's 4 clean elims for them.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a quadra for the team, and let's see if they can add it up. real soon. For Brim United, they've stayed in here and waited for hotshots for the longest time. And this is what I'm talking about. Brim United was spotted and they didn't engage. Thus, hotshots stayed in the same area and now they're going against the Thai Giants. Now let's see if hotshots will be able to get at least one knock or two to be able to get that one ahead. But Action already in the lead. Get high, almost being taken down. It's a good thing that Cassie electrotherapy saves him and heals up much faster. But Moshi might be in trouble. A trio would be rushing in, and there goes division and domination done by Terrorism United. But hotshots seems like they're the ones winning it.
Wow. Wow, just wow. Jesus' gamble paid off. He ran into two members of BRU, distracted them. Enough time for the rest of his teammates to win the fight and put Jonah as the lone survivor. And that's what we love to see from these teams. You take on the challenge, you win it from a tactical standpoint. Hasha should be proud of themselves when they revisit this moment in time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they might not know who they're going against, but the moment that they find out, that's great motivation for the team right here. And Pakistan would still be in this game. And a little bit of cryo mine action coming from PE Sports Lao Ho as clear vision spread away, but lightning might be hitting them in a bit, but no! Nero with Winchester taking the win. Now LBT on an M590 will not be waiting anymore, and PE Sports really relieving Clear Vision of this fight and bring them to 10th.
Yeah. And that is just great stuff. I mean, overall, PE Sports have recovered, albeit taking a bit long, but they definitely have found some of the stride. Polish on some of the problems that has been haunting them in the early stages of the game. You know, first of all, Evo stopped hunting them down, which is great. But also, they've been able to find composure in these 4v4s and be a lot more decisive on the calls that they want to make. Contrary to that, RRQ have definitely slowed down as the day progressed.
Yeah, it seems like the fire is, well, not only it's burning out, but they are being cautious right now because they will need that. There's not so much of result that's coming out of their aggressive approach. And that's a good thing. That's a good adjustment for them. So far, out of the 8, 7, 11 for the back-to-back Nextera and Alpine, there's only small progression. And it's because of this small adjustment. As long as they're not taken out early, then there's still a chance for them to bring some numbers into the board.
By no means an endgame scenario just yet. At least not the end for RQ. On the overall standing, they are still in 9th spot, so pretty safe if you think about it, right? 210 points, they haven't reached a threshold just yet, but they're sure as heck pretty close to it. Contrary to that, Evo still have a long way to go, but they are making good strides. There's something that can continue keeping an eye out for. It is, I mean, both of them still have one more play day tomorrow, right? So the pressure is definitely not as heavy just yet if they can keep on just getting points.
Yep, definitely. I mean, for Evo's Divine, they only need 26 points to be able to go against PE Sports, or rather Nova Legion, who's currently on the 12th spot. So let's see if there's something they can do, or even more, because Nova Legion's already out of this game. So Evo's Divine, easily, if they get 26, they might, or even more, they might be able to get the 12th spot by the end of this game. And there's another one that will be following. For RQ, they're on the 9th spot, and there's plenty of leeway for them. But I don't think they will be giving up that leeway, despite of them still playing tomorrow. It's more of those coming from Group B that would need to be cautious. So let's see if there's something that or rather Group A that needs to be cautious, and that is Red Hawks, who is in the current standing 46 points away from Nova Legion.
Yeah, the only team from Group A who basically at the end of yesterday already had no more chance of qualifying, but are still putting up a show. He's trying to show us why they deserve to be here. Not their first time, at least on the international stage. We have seen them before at EWC. And they did show us some promises. Keep on looking for more. This time on a hot shot, picking the target cautiously. It doesn't go down. And find his 7 point for the team.
You can see the tenure of a player right there, similar to what we've seen in AMD. Time Turner is there. All he had to do is wait for the opponent to move in. Instead of him going for the chase, but Coach Hill right now seeing Liku and 3 on him. Little to no chance of him surviving, but another player from Red Cliff has already done the deed, revived the rest of the teammates, and they are back on a full squad, and they are here to get more.
They are so back indeed. All the prayers and wishes and the faith that the fans have given him, even in the chat itself, definitely boosted that resolve. Russia finding another one on the action. I believe that's point number 9 this game. And hot shot getting wiped out. Lao Ho on the feed. Did find Ma'ao as RRQ. They've been playing cautiously for majority of the game. Now they'll be forced to take action with PE Sports encroaching.
Yeah, let's see it out. We have PE Sports moving in, and well, we're not talking about action coming from hot shots. We're talking about action that they need to do right now. In RRQ, 0 elimination, and PE Sports might be the ones that would add to that board. But not only that, we also have a few players from Red Hawks who are spotted onto the other side of that ridge. But for Rex right now, Coach Hill will take him down with a Winchester, and that brings Evo Zivine as the elimination leader, 8 on this game, and still the battle continues from 3rd to 4th phase of the circle.
I believe there's some utilities being thrown into Wasana. They're gonna stay silent for now. Reconvene with Get High. Team Solid on the horizon. Moshi sees it, has the Winchester in hand. Even rocking the Chrono. So Shaft has a way to protect himself. Wasana did get tagged a little bit, but was able to slip into safety. And when you look at the state of the circle, of course, BRU is the one that needs to move in a little bit. And Team Solid have a good chance of stopping them in their tracks.
See though if they will be stopped, or will they be the one stopped at this point. Everyone is, I would say, in a standstill. Despite of Team Solid trying to put so much pressure, Brunei United is not budging at all. Eliminate action, and Moshi will be healing up. Wasana will be spotted, and a headshot for the Charge Buster might bring him down. Nyx right now missing those shots, and it is good that Brunei United is not jumping out on them as well, because that keeps both of them safe. But Red Hawks jumping in here, disrupting the 4v4 that's happening between the two regions on the top 2 of the board.
This team is going to be lights out for BRU as Hawk takes on the challenge with Wasana against everyone else. Nyx totally found Get High, but Wasana is around, and you cannot let your eyes off of Wasana. Almost taking down a second, the glue wall. Keeping Team Solid safe for now. Wasana with the inhalers, gonna try and relocate himself and maybe bring his teammates back up. Jonah and Moshi on their feet. Wasana gets Get High back into action, and BRU, they have completely recovered from their situation and now are looking to close out the fight. But Hawk stands his ground, takes out Jonah as Wasana comes in to try and finally ends it. Jonah back on his feet again, and they finally surround Hawk. It's a 4v1, and Team Solid have been turned to dust.
Yeah, they have been turned to dust, but it seems like Brunei United has slowed down in there. Reptide Rhythm to break away the defenses. That's only preventing GOW and PE Sports from fighting against each other. It's a good thing that GOW managed to bring up a lot of glue walls, and they can be picked up. And that delivery with the Riptide Rhythm is courtesy of RRQ, who is just toying with them from afar. And there goes Rip with an M79, but it seems like it is RRQ who will be ripping them out and reaping from all those knockdowns.
All these long-range third parties are starting to bear fruit. RRQ having control of the circle. PE Sports no more out in 5th spot. And we've seen Thai teams make it to the final circle, but this time it's going to be the Indonesian Derby. And BRU only left with just one. Evo 17 points. Can you believe it? Looking to set a new record today. The highest so far was 29 by BRU. And Evos looks to overtake that. Aim God 1v1. Moshi wiped out. And that's 18 for Evos.
And Thailand has been eliminated and being taken down off that spree. Now Indonesia will be here on a roll. Either way, it would be the Kingdom who will be getting that booyah. EVOS or RQ, the only question is who gets it best. Ignis being used right now to clear it out, and a lot of glue walls in here, and no one is breaking them down. But unfortunately, the freeze will take down Aim God. That would disrupt the balance between these two teams, and EVOS Divine might be losing it out, and RRQ is looking at their booyah for today. And only one remains, and RRQ is not slowing down. The Wonder Kid has nowhere to go.
And they're gonna slowly surround him. Rasha left to his own devices. Can't do it against the Kingdom. As they roar in triumph and bring Indonesia their first ever booyah today.
Oh, it seems like RRQ is living to that meme that we just showed earlier. Denying of EVOS of getting that booyah, but we didn't mention that there's a lot of elimination. They had beat, I believe they beaten the record, if not got close to it. And with only 2 games, with that much elimination, EVOS Divine has made a huge stride to get into the top 12. But for RQ, I mean, it's another day in the office for this team. Yeah, they're not pressured, but the number of points per match that they have is still on the top 5. So it seems like RQ is still on a roll, and with this booyah, it adds more to that prestige.
Even when you saw, even when RQ won that EVOS, they were still, you know, in a positive light because they've got that 18 eliminations at least, right? You add that 9 points, it's 27. It's still a massive round. We talk about the benchmark set for them for today, 75 points on average. I think EVOS, they have definitely gone above and beyond to try and surpass that target set for them. So nothing to be disappointed about. I think both Indonesian teams did a fantastic job this round.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they were fantastic at that point, and I'm loving it. A turn of events that happened, pulling away all those booyahs, all those points from Thailand into Indonesia. And it seems like the same story, as I mentioned earlier, is being done by either EVOS or RRQ. They understand what they need to do, and they're just doing it in that perfect moment we're in. By the end of the day, some of the teams will be ending up on the top 12, or if not, on a decent amount of points to be a little bit safer, especially with additional games or additional day that they have for tomorrow.
Yeah, and I gotta say, you know, prior to this, I think we saw the overall standings, and BRU are the first and only team so far to break it into the 300-point mark. I think it's fair to say that BRU is most likely into the top 12, right? They've most likely qualified to the grand finals. I think Team Solid has as well. So, you know, just based off of that, we have 10 more slots left for the top 12. It is still anyone's game. Let's take a look at the game standings. First, again, EVOS Divine didn't get the booyah. Doesn't matter. Still the most points. 27 for them. RQ Castle with 23. P Sports racking out some good 13 points. And guess who is there with them? Is Red Hawks again.
Yeah, Red Hawks managed to get 7 placements, 6 elimination, and I love the determination of this team right here. They're playing it to their best right now to survive and fight back. And that, again, I'm imploring for Red Hawks to rewind, watch that match, identify which team they were almost eliminated in that game, in that first engagement, and then thank everyone who will be able to support them even more in the next battle, onto the next tournament that they will be joining. Because it seems like if they put this mindset all throughout, from the beginning up until, let's say, their road, they're qualifying in any grand finals, then they might be able to do it next time around.
And I think it's just a very good showing of what a team can do, right? And, you know, coming in from a region like Bangladesh, it's not very easy to kind of adapt to that global stage. But I think Red Hawks, if they've shown us anything back in Riyadh, is that they have that caliber, right? They're the best team in the region for a reason. I think even if they don't make it to the grand finals, unfortunately for the global finals, they have given some of our teams a run for their money. And current day standings, BRU, 100 points in a day, and there's still one more round to go.
Yeah, and for Team Solid as well as Evo's Divine, they have breached that 70 mark. And well, I guess it's very close right now. If I'm not mistaken, it is how many points that we have seen that Evos needs to catch up on for day. It seems like it's very, very close for Evos to be able to continue their reign. And I would believe that if it's not RRQ, Evos can get that booyah into next game. But for Red Hawks, once again, great performance for today. GOW, though, it's not showing up as strongly, similar to what we've seen with PE Sports as well. But let's take a look at the highlights onto who's going against who into those engagements.
Right off the bat, we saw Evo's Divine again, going in for this engagement, picking the right fights and basically winning it cleanly, right? So they don't really have to expend too much. RQ also was forced to fight when the game went late, but becoming the third party and surviving that really gave them a leg up. And not to mention that in this final circle, they were already up by one man. Russia was trying to play support fire from afar, but unfortunately the front line got dismantled and Russia couldn't really do enough. So RQ playing a very textbook late game that we are very used to seeing them do to win that. This was when Evos got their first team wipe, and you can see the celebration there. But it's not all smiles and laughter. The other teams who are struggling, you can definitely see the tension.
Yeah, and going back to my point, for Evo's Divine, they need to secure 75 points per day to be able to secure to qualify in the grand finals, at least 80 points for comfort. So it seems like despite of the early losses, they did manage to catch up and they're very close to achieving that goal. But for RRQ, let's not take it away from them that they did grab that booyah. And RRQ struggled as well in this game. And you can see the determination on how they can set their mind into not falter, not really let go of that winning condition just yet, and just manage on how they can get the booyah. But let's take a look at the skills right now, and it seems like they're also bringing that Nero from Doots, a little bit of Time Turner from Abe, well, Tatsuya from 18 Deer, which is surprising, and the Skylar from Maal. Tatsuya has fallen down on one of the most used active skill, but 18 Deer probably got used to it, and it's a good thing that he is back in the board.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see that, you know, some teams, the meta is a lot more versatile now, right? It's not mandatory to take a Tatsuya or an Oscar, and it really helps us get a good look at the team identity and play style. And in this game, 18 Deer and Abai really putting up a good show. Especially, there's been this debate between 18 Deer or Ikao, right? I think the audience is pretty divided on who should be kind of fielded. We saw Ikao in the earlier few rounds and didn't really turn out well, and maybe 18 Deer was sort of like the missing piece of the puzzle, at least for today. And that sort of kind of plugged some of the holes, which I think I can agree with what the general consensus is, whereas that 18 Deer is just a lot more used to playing with RQ since he has been there slightly longer. Maybe that's kind of what RQ needs at this point of time.
You know, if this is something that RQ can continue right now, but let's bring in focus to RQ as well as their MVP, 18 Deer, the clutch kid that managed to get that 1v3 on the highest, the biggest stage of EWC 24, being acquired by RQ now with 4 elimination, 1786 on the damage, and 4 assists. Him coming back in here in the second half of our knockout stage for RQ brings a lot more of, I would say, light into what RQ can achieve as a team.
Oh yeah, I just very composed in terms of, you know, being the rusher and kind of getting into the thick of the battle. And not only that, you also take away some of the weights from Abai's shoulder. He doesn't have to be the only one that does it, because back then it's either Abai or no one, and that helps, I think, RQ really set up for that mid to late phase, because you already have a great support system in Dus and Ma'ao, but you need someone to be able to hold that front. I think 18 Deer is sort of what helps Abai alleviate that pressure.
Yeah, let's see though if that continues on. And well, there's just so much that we can see right now. Earlier it was Thailand, now it is Indonesia, but we're still missing a lot of regions, a lot of teams. Though we put a little bit of highlight as well onto Red Hawks, but we want to see those who are in contention of being relegated. One of which is well, GOW. GOW currently is in 8, but once they are resting, there might be a risk of them being pushed down if they don't put so much point onto the next game. And you know this, the last game would be in purgatory, and it seems like for the other teams, this is how they feel. They are in the limbo right now.
Yeah, and it's sort of where suffering feels the most painful, right? When you are you know, in a rough spot, purgatory does make you feel even worse. Big maps, vehicles are mandatory, a lot of open fields to fight, and more so, if you miss your rotation window, a late game becomes a lot more harder to navigate.
Yeah, definitely on a huge map, and this is one thing that Danley always point out, because from the time that purgatory has been in, and like the changes that has been done in purgatory, there's most of the time the final circle happening in the waters. I think we witnessed that in the previous week as well. And not only that, in Southeast Asia Fall, there's so many instances that the skewed flight path happens in this specific map. So I am smiling right now. If in case that happens, I would be even happier, because that would force some of the teams into engagement, and that's where we will see the caliber of those teams. But I'm also, on the other hand, a little bit of cautious for that to happen, because they don't want to risk being taken out because of just a bad drop spot.
Oh yeah, like skill flight paths, and I think two specific maps are extremely deadly. Purgatory being the primary one, and maybe Kalahari is sort of like the second. But in Purgatory, water circles are extremely complicated to navigate, because if you are on the wrong side of the map, you're on like the circle goes north and you're on the south island, but it ends in the water, you are most likely going to lose that round, because swimming is not really an option, right? Like you could swim, but we haven't seen teams really found too much success with it, just because you are essentially vulnerable.
And the introduction of the launch pad as well has changed that game, because like swimming back then, you will be targeted so much, and that's where they break off into two groups. If not, everyone would go one at a time. But the launch pad though, there's a huge risk involved right here. But before we go any further, let's take a look at the point check right now. And Evo Divine really needs the point. They are desperate for that with 167 points. And well, they have overtaken Nova Legions that has 166, but they need to reach a safe line, which is 145. And I did mention that the 245 rather, that 245 is just the minimum that they need to achieve. So, or rather, the maximum that they need to achieve to be able to cross over, and it might change over time.
Yeah, we also did say that if they reach 80 and above, then they can get a bit more comfortable for tomorrow, right? But it's about putting in laying the foundations first, right? Putting in the hard work early on, so you have slightly more leeway to fall back on. But being able to overtake Nova Legion is a good start. I think for EVOS, you know, one thing that they hardly think about, at least from the recent runs we've seen, is that they can be behind, but they're just gonna keep on fighting. You know, they're gonna keep on just going aggressive, do what they do, and not be scared off. Because some teams, when they start falling behind, they start playing safe, and it becomes and I think it's a lot more detrimental when you start playing too safe. You stop taking chances. But for EVOS, the confidence that they have is what separates them from a lot of other teams out there.
Yeah, well, let's see though if that confidence will bring them so much prestige, because if it goes overconfident, then that's where they might be falling down later on. I mean, you know how it is for some teams. They don't play that much, they don't show that much in the early game, and then try to catch up into the borderline towards the latter part. And if that was not achieved, even by 1 point, then that would be a disappointing game, tournament for a team like Evo's Divine. But all hopes aside, they are currently averaging almost 9.9 or 9.8 per match. And if they will be able to continue this, and you know that it also has been skewed because of those low point games, but if the continuation of them getting a lot of elimination happens from this purgatory up until the next day of play, then there's a lot more that they can bring in, and they can easily get to the top 12.
Yeah, and without a shadow of doubt. I mean, look at RQ's stats as well, right? Currently number 8 in terms of total eliminations, number 10 in total of damage, and number 7 in total of assists. So sort of in the middle of the table overall, but they are one of the few good examples of a team that is balanced, I think, in both regards, right? Not the best in eliminations, not the best in survival, but very reliable. They never fall too far behind, even on their worst days.
Yeah, but before this day, I was looking at the numbers for RRQ, and when we count the number of points that they have per day, they were ranking number 1. So it seems like with the few games that they played before being introduced into day 2 of week 2, they have a great potential to take in the lead. It just so happens that they did falter, and we know for a fact that RRQ is one of the teams who struggles, especially if those misses are like unexpected. It's not the top dogs taking them down, but it's more of the unfortunate events that's happening all throughout that map, on those rotation, on those engagement that brings them down. And they've taken so much already. But let's take a look right now onto Brim United team that grabbed 2 booyahs, 174 on elimination, 121,125 on the damage. That's for everyone all throughout the knockout stage, and 217 on assists. Brim United across the board, number 1.
Why am I surprised? Or why am I not surprised? You know, that's such a BRU thing. Gotta be first in everything. Even when we last checked in BRU, they have, I think, like, compared to the team in second place in terms of elimination, they have at least 20 or 30 extra eliminations. That's how dominant they are. And that's not even like BRU. That's not even like BRU at their most aggressive. I remember when BRU was still playing the run and gun style, they have basically double eliminations compared to placement points. That's how crazy they are. So they have toned down, and they are still first.
Yeah, exactly. And I love the movement of the points as well coming from Brim United. But we're going to get into the next match right now. And as I often says, neither heaven nor hell can save the team that will not be shining bright at this point, because they might be crashing and burning after this game. This is the last game for today and last game for some of the teams that will be taking a rest for the final day of the knockout stage.
Yeah. Especially for Group A, again, most of them are in the safe zone and en route to qualify for the grand finals, at least, you know, based on the total score and the cut-off points, that the benchmark that we set. Let's see if Red Hawks can go out with a bang, right? The final round in the knockout stage, we've seen them really, you know, light some fires, see if they can blow it up one last time and really make life hard for the rest of our contenders.
Yeah, a little bit of my own fun fact. The second day of each week that Red Hawks has been playing, they are playing even better, because every time Group A and B is happening, they're reaching that 40-point mark. And I guess it's the grouping and rotation as well that they were working on and identifying not so much of a heavy team to contend. So let's see if that will continue on for the final game. For RQ, though, they might be meeting up with Team Falcons in a bit. But on the other side, Nero receives a little bit of damage from Hot Shots, and let's see if he'll be able to get away.
Should be fine. Hotshot not going on the chase at all. We saw the WAVs. PE Sports actually are all in the vicinity, just spread out to cover more ground in the early game. Hotshot really not really the team that chases. So PE Sports basically feeling very safe. We did talk about teams that like to take the southern side of the map. Falcons is one of them. They love Fire Brigade. Central for RRQ, as always. more the isolated area on the map. But we gotta see the first circle first. Seems like it does encompass majority of the southern island.
Let's see if Southern Island, as well as southern part of the circle, would be safe compared to what we've seen in the first game of this day. But last game, it might be slow for some of the teams, but we are seeing that Trap 7 is already hunting clear vision, and as elimination leader, they will be taking 1 point. But for Guaxa, I see it seems like they have pulled in a few of Red Cliff right here, but Fahim is trying to fight back, but not so much of cover compared to what Guaxa is having right now. Plus that plushie being thrown onto him, chipping off a little bit of damage for Red Cliff's sniper.
TS getting the first blood, Trap 7 with that takedown. Seems like they are gonna reconvene. Red Cliffs gathering up. Good diagnostic scan from Team Solid, spotting out the entirety of Red Cliffs there. It's a 4v3 in favor of them. It seems like Trap 7 is gonna take point on top of the silo. Makes it there. Good bird's eye view. Red Cliffs might have to back off now.
Let's see if they can back off. Hope though. Being taken out by BZP10 and Team Solid. Well, continuing their reign. Traps right now. Winchester in hand. Leak, who receives a lot of damage, tries to heal up and arm himself with a power foul. But what can he do if he's in the crosshair of Team Solid, and the rest of the teams will be jumping in and trying to eliminate the rest of RC, but some has been revived already, and good enough effort, valiant effort for Red Cliff right now to try and survive. But Team Solid looking solid right now as the elimination leader.
Mash revive from Red Hawks too. We saw Hot Shots getting into a skirmish with them early on. Nova Legion has a kill order out for Floki, but Nova Legion continues to skirt around Moat House. Another area that teams that play slow usually likes to go for, and you know this lobby coincidentally doesn't have anyone that likes to contest the Moat House, so Nova Legion gets to get a free rotation. But again, you gotta find a vehicle, some means of transportation. If the circle decides to go down south, then Nova Legions will be in a bit of a pickle. As we have seen that effect earlier on, I believe Clear Vision forced to make a very long rotation, and when they finally make it to the circle, they end up having to fight BRU with no chance to breathe. And that's one of the worst situations you can get into on a map like Purgatory.
Yeah, speaking of worst situation, we have Team Falcons right now out in the open. Only nature and one car saving them from being spotted. But what they're doing right now is making sure that that hit list expire before they move in a specific direction. And it's smart for them, because if they start to head into one set of compound, and they will be tracked by RQ. But speaking of tracking, Nova Legion region right now going in for rush against Hot Shots. Nades not being lobbed and a little bit short though, but Sebaz almost being hit. Good thing he managed to pull off that glue wall, and Hot Shots slowly backs away.
Okay, we've seen Hot Shots' brilliance in the previous round and how they dealt with BRU. Let's see if they can replicate their tactical success against Nova Legion. The circle is not going to hurt so much yet. A lot of utilities being dumped by Hot Shot without much info. Nero about to spoil the party. Lopez didn't expect the backstab. And with PE Sports joining the party, the circumstances have changed. We might not get that 4v4 that we want.
Well, let's see though. And there goes Lopez being back. And it seems like the full team, or probably just one, just the 3 players still alive for Nova Legions. PE Sports now being seen by Evo's Divine Ray on very high ground, far away from the rest of the team. Going in, Riptide Rhythm. Time Turner though saves him a little bit as he heals up, and great timing. Even Go Chill cannot do anything about it. Great Steffi being pulled out, and he is safe right now. There goes all those kills, utilities being thrown at PE Sports, and Lao Ho getting out before the chaos ensues, but he has been taken out by Nova Legion and confirmed. So that is 1 loss already for PE Sports.
It seems like we're going to potentially have this final round go down with the classic Evos against PE Sports. Evos going on the aggression. Aim got leads the charge into 4-man. LBT blast him in the face. Evos now making a call to escape. Rasha didn't really cover much distance with that launch pad, but was able to get a good, at least point to cover his team if something does go wrong, but Nova Legion and Hotshot are nearby. PE Sports might not be safe. There might be a third and even a fourth party if this drags on. They get the revive onto Aim God. Ray now also needs to relocate. He has Coach Yu with him. As Aim God, he drops back down instantly. He takes the fight. PE Sports just not catching a break.
A little bit too aggressive though for Aim God, knowing for a fact that he just came back from a revive. But, well, at least the full team's back from the ashes. Let's see on how they're going to fight. And Jonah's already down. M79 coming from Evo Divine. And here comes Aim God with Bison in hand. But unfortunate, he's not prepared. And he goes down. Even Coach Hill will not be chilling at this point. It's a good thing that Ray is in there and can manage to go for a pickup. But he needs to recover as well, because here comes Nova Legion going in for the rush.
Nero, Jonah, Jonah and LBT all huddled together. Coach Yu actually getting some time to heal back up. They're gonna hunt for him. Coach Yu, good for one! And that's not good for either of these teams, as Nova Legion finally shows up on the second floor and say, what's up? We're here to clean up 4 good points, and again PE Sports falls victim to Evos' devilish plans.
Well, one team's gone. Looks like their flame snuff out. And there goes PE Sports out of the picture. And that is courtesy of Nova Legion. Now, 6 elimination already being taken by Team Solid. They're still in a roll. There goes that Crocodile Mind Rex to anything, especially with shots being a gun being pointed at him. And despite of being outside, tanking the blue, Team Solid still looking rock solid in that fight. Now, Brave United right now being hunted by Hotshots, or I don't know if that is the plan, but I think they know that happened earlier and they want to try their best to do it once again.
Yeah, we can see that revive for Evo's Divine, so they are right back in the game. Nova Legion. What's the contest here at Moat House between Russia and Sebas? See this 1v1. Russia has the Winchester in hand. Makes contact. Just double shot right in the face Sebas. Can he win this out? As Russia moves on to the second floor, and Sebas will now have to really figure out outmaneuver Russia. Jumps back down and surprises him. Ooh. Gives it a good old knuckle sandwich, but contestant number 2 is in the building. Is Lopez. Russia half health will not do it. A 1-for-1 exchange.
Well, he inserted a coin, and he's the new challenger in that fight. Now, let's see on what Lopez and Floki can do to revive a teammate. There is a revive platform in here, and he might be able to bring that. But Sivaz already beat him to it for 1. And Brave United, on the other hand, is moving in onto next phase of the circle. A little bit of pressure, though, because of the hit list that would expire in 10 seconds. The only question, though, is who has put up that hit list, because they are still in a target and not so much of room to wiggle, because there's GOW, Evos, and then behind them is Hotshots.
So BRU is going to rotate south side. It's Evos, you see that recovery. Nova Legend, they should take some time to slow down a little bit as BRU speeds up. There is GOW right in front, and BRU, they want to take the the area, rip instantly, gets blown up. They're not even prepared for that. GOW not given any space and time to adjust.
See if they will be able to live for that fight and then adjust later on. But Brave United, good spot to take. They are on the edge of the next phase of the circle as well as in the compound. But Evo Divine also in this corner. I'm loving the position that Brave United is taking right now. I mean, if one of that guy will be able to go in a triple stack, then they will still be in a good angle to go for a shot against Evo's Divine. But going in onto bird's eye view, we're seeing clear vision right now, taking a few shots, and one has been picked up. But we still have 11 teams in this fight right now, and Redcliffe, despite of needing to bring back one of their teammates, will be stuck outside and being pressured by Nova Legion.
Evo sees Redcliffe getting that launch pad rotation. This might be dangerous for Redcliffe, but Evo decides to not pursue. They gotta prioritize getting into the circle first, so good call from Evos. Meanwhile, Nova Legion runs into Team Solid. Sebas right in the thick of it. Good glue wall there. Broken down by Team Solid themselves as Sabaz gets taken now. Good valiant dash. Floki tries to back up his teammate, but it might be a bit too late. Harsha eliminated. Tricks on the ground as Team Solid now regroups. Nova Legion gets wiped out.
8 team remain at this point, and apologies, I was referring to Evo Divine earlier when I said Nova Legion, but, well, Nova Legion would be eliminated at this point now. RQ right now in the middle of this phase of the circle, still anticipating the next one, but as we look into Team Solid, seems like they are back from the ashes and they're ready to fight back. For Rim United, they might need to move a little bit faster. Not quite sure what's happening with Jonah right now running into the wall, but there's not so much of breathing space for them because they are surrounded. As mentioned earlier, GOW on the right, Evos on the left, and one player from Red Cliff from behind who is losing HP, and there you go, one team out, and their flames once again has been snuffed out.
And BRU now rotates. This could be a dangerous situation. Wasana just so quick on the trigger. Goodbye, Wonder Kid. You're gonna sleep tight tonight. Moshi with a big explosion on Array. Evil's Divine seemingly standing no chance. Coach Yu wants to help his team, but gets gunned down by Jonah. Everyone from BRU gets a piece of the pie. And Ingal left to his own devices. Moshi says good night, adios, goodbye. And Evos are out in 7th.
Well, unfortunately for them, there's still a goal that they need to achieve right now, and that has been cut short. But Brim United is not out of woods yet. We have GOW and those glue walls being taken out right now. GOW, though, receiving a lot of glue wall melters. Steffi has been pulled out in the perfect timing. It doesn't phase them at all. Illumination already being taken by the Brew team. And let's see if they can rotate out from GOW's way. But on the left-hand side, they do have clear vision, who have or might have clear vision on them, but as we look, we can see RRQ is focusing on Team Solid as well as Team Falcons right now, slowly moving up.
Yeah, Falcons basically completely avoid the plushie, the cryo mine from Team Solid to turn their attention to focus onto RRQ, which is the bigger problem now. 18 gear getting ran at, falls back to a secondary layer of glue wall, and Du's able to take down Limit. Pina goes down to units. Clear Vision makes their presence known. Team Solid Ryzen on the monster truck, and they also want a piece of the party. And a party is no party without Team Solid. Falcons decide that they're gonna build on their own fight and leave Clear Vision to deal with Team Solid. And maybe RRQ to boot as BRU finds a wild GOW and wipes them out.
Well, they have been taken down, and fortunate for Team Falcons, only On Fire will be remaining with a bunch of RRQ surrounding him. There goes the shot. On Fire right now, also receiving a little bit of cryo mine action and chipping up on the damage, but Abey will try to heal up. Very close to On Fire, but it would end here. Specialist, the full squad is raining fire on him. Now, 4 teams remain, and it seems like Brim United has a chance to grab another booyah. Same goes for RQ, but they will need to deal with clear vision first, and they don't have that much. Oh, Wasana with a valiant dash, with a follow through on taking 2 down, but Noshi needs to be picked up, and the rest of the teams backs away.
Clear Vision also down to 2 members. It's RQ and BRU who have the full team left alive, and RQ are not going to wait. Team Solid, you have 2 members left, hiding right behind the boulder. RQ have no idea, preoccupied by BRU. Is it a backup chance? It seems like that window has passed as the Kingdom strikes. This time when the iron is piping hot on the BRU to send them on the truck over Jonah's head. They wipe out BRU. And Guaksha and BZP10 finally showed their faces. 3v2 in favor of the Kingdom. They also won their back-to-back. It seems to be a two-for galore today in terms of booyah. And RQ Kazu have a dang good chance of making that a reality.
Let's see, Flaming Glory awaits. Who's going to bring home this booyah? There goes the rush from 18 Deer and takedown onto BZP. Only Guaksha remains, and 18 Deer is still rushing on. Tatsuya in hand, and Maal beats him to it. There goes RRQ for a back-to-back, and 3 back-to-backs in one day is something else.
As Abai stretches his arms for a day well concluded, RQ Kazu closes Day 2 of Week 2 of the knockout stage with a back-to-back booyah of their own. And right in the home soil of Jakarta. You could not have asked for a better good night's sleep for our Indonesian reps.
Definitely, I mean, great night's sleep for these teams. But I'm really, really excited to see that some teams that we were expecting to really rocket on in the early parts of the knockout stage are slowly building up. Not quite sure if this is more of studying the opponents or everyone else in the grouping for the first week, and then this is where they bring everything into plan. But for RRQ right now, they have been dubbed the mastermind, and seems like they are envying Thailand and grabbing that 2 booyahs. So let's take a look as well as a final moment, because it seems like with 18 Deer, part of Mix, they're always surviving in a full squad, and he's always, or almost a full squad, but always in front, not even receiving any damage.
Yeah, and again, RQ, they had quite a roller coaster of a day. They started off with, they had a quite rocky start, made a bit of a substitution. They bring 18 Deer back in, and suddenly all was well. So something to keep an eye out for as we, head into the last day of the knockout stage tomorrow between Group B and C. And RQ gets another chance to cement their presence in the global finals. But today has been eventful, right? Falcons gets a double booyah. BRU says we're gonna get a double booyah too for Thailand. They tie out the total booyahs of Thailand and Vietnam, and the Indonesian is like, no one's gonna win today, no one's gonna break even. We take 2 back for ourselves, and RQ is the one that gets the job done.
Well, definitely an eventful day, but